My name's Paul Church from Clarity Stamp here in the UK. Welcome to part 2 of Easy Gridwork. Hope everybody's well. I shall just waffle for a little bit until people start to join the party. I can see we've got some viewers now, so good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are. Stuart is in the room with you today, so if you have any questions, then pop them up there and either he will answer them or I'll answer them if I see them. Just waiting for the all clear from Stuart. Sound is good. Thank you, Stuart. So we'll just wait for a few chats to come in. And then I know that we've got people joining the party. So I hope everybody's okay. Bit wet and wild out there this morning. Not very nice. Very grey and overcast. Good morning, Josie, Susan, Judith, Helen. Here you all come. Jill, Catherine, Mo, all the lovely regulars. So, I mean, the Queen of Grids is in the room as well. So you have got any questions? The lovely Jane's also in the room. I'm sure if I miss them or Stuart misses them, then they'll answer all that you can. All that you can, all that they can. Oh dear, a bit tongue-tied this morning. Yes, so I've got my coffee, which is the main thing. Coffee and crafting. All I need now is cake, the 3 C's. Coffee, cake, crafting. So it's very wet in Queen. It's very wet everywhere, isn't it? Good morning, Ken. Oh, it's so lovely to have your company again. Last year, it seems like a long time ago. You know, I say to you, like sometimes it's as if it was only yesterday, and sometimes it feels as if it's a long gap. Sort of backwards and forwards since we last met. The lovely Dawn Wheeler did a show for us on Create and Craft, a 1-day special with some beautiful floral frame fresh cut dies inspired by designs from the lovely Tina Cox. So I went up there on Thursday to give us some support for the first show and then drove back again. And then obviously I did the shows on Sunday, 3 to 5 for Barb. So thank you for tuning in. I felt really nervous. I haven't done a stamping show for such a long time. Yeah, Martin was great. And the stamps, beautiful. And if you missed the show, you can watch on Create and Craft on their rewind or catch up, whatever it's called. 2 hours, 3 till 5. First hour flew by, and then the second hour seemed to take a little bit longer. Very weird. Yeah. So we've got a new person, Elaine Mander. Good morning and welcome. You're new to Groovi. Oh, Elaine, it's all downhill from now. Once you've got that Groovi bug, there's no going back. So, okay, so Catherine says there's no sound and it's working again now. There you go. Super. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, you're indulging black coffee as my drink of choice, but with some very expensive, yummy glazed ginger cookies. Is it glazed or glacé? So yeah, so and then back in the fold yesterday. So look, just gone 10 o'clock. I saw on Groovi Worldwide there was a couple of questions, and we had a couple of questions in on the TV on Sunday as well, just about Groovi in general. So Tracy Chapman, how do I find the Groovi plates with the borders on your website, please? Which borders are you referring to? The one that we're working on today, this one, or just borders in general? I'm sure Stuart can pop you in the right direction once you've answered that question. So I'm just reading all the comments. All of a sudden they just go blah, 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 at the beginning, and then during the course of the hour they sort of slow down a bit. Windy in Cornwall. Yeah, I bet it is. Is that the downdraft of the that rocket launch yesterday? Yeah. So we've been working with one of Josie's lovely ribbon diagonal grids, and I thought this one was perfect as an introduction to easy gridwork or lacework. Josie, a question for you. I mean, I call it gridwork. Some people call it lacework. Is there a difference between gridwork and lacework? Or is it just different terminology? Okay, so I think Stuart's popped the link up. Stuart, what Tracy's looking for is the Sending Love Your Way plate that we're using in the shack, in Groovi Tuesday today. Okay, let's have a look at some more. There we go. Stuart's popped the link up. Good morning from Dusseldorf in Germany. Good morning. Yeah, sorry, got distracted just reading the comments. There we go. Stuart's popped that up for you. And this is just, I thought, if you're learning the technique, traditionally it would have been done on a bold or basic grid that has thousands and thousands and thousands of holes, and you'd have to have the you'd have to create your own pattern. You've got to do the embossing, you've got to do your perforating. So the concept behind the Duet plate is that one part of it is embossed and the other part is drilled. Okay, so what is Josie saying? I always think of gridwork as done on the grid plates and lacework more as cutting and embossing patterns from a pattern. Okay. Still none the wiser, but I think I know what you mean. So gridwork from a basic plate, creating your own patterns, I'm guessing. So yeah, so the plates, Josie's done all the work for us, and it just makes it so achievable and really easy. There's a couple of questions I saw on Facebook. There was a few people that were struggling to make a complete square, because last week the stage in which we got to was we'd done half of it, and then by using the registration marks, and then we just went in and filled it up. And I said, because we're doing it in real time, I'd carry on filling it up today. But I think a few people, because of the pattern down the side, I think a few people were struggling to work out exactly where to position it, despite sort of going back and watching again and again. So Jane is also saying you can also do lacework using multi-needle tools. I suppose, yeah, perfect. Okay, so what I did, I got Mr. Jim in the office to print out the embossed pattern on a piece of parchment. Let me grab some white paper. Because we design, I said, well, because Josie designs plates and we manufacture them here, Jim can do this for me. So he's blown it up really big. So if you have a look, here's my piece here. You can see it's really big. And I will zoom in a moment. So what you'll notice, let me zoom in now, actually, just while everybody's pulling up a chair and tuning in. So let me see, I need to go this way. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to zoom in as close as I can and then just move it up, because we're only interested in this area here, really. Okay, so, he says. When we look at the pattern, you can see it's got a series of repeats. Okay, so you've got that set there, then you've got the next one, and then you've got the next one. Now, this part here is the top part of this one. Okay. So if I take it on one of the smaller ones, because I've just got one of these. So for example, so this here, whoo, sorry, hang on, let it focus. Hang on, put my hand in. Whee, there we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in really close on this one area, just to explain what I mean. Okay, so let's go in really, really close to this part here. Okay. Okay. So we have the pattern up here, and then the repeat here, and then it stops, doesn't it, mid-pattern. So this part here, this little bit here, like so, is this bit here. Okay, so you've got, there's your bar, so to speak, there's the bar there. So if you then continue that, what you need to do is to line it up. Okay, so if I take, let me bring it in, I've got it in a different color. I'll try and do this slowly. I'm going to turn it upside down. Hey, there we go. No, let's keep it simple, the same way that we've been working on. Okay, so imagine you've embossed all of these dots. Okay, and now we want to complete our frame into a square. When you line up, the red is the plate, the black is all the perforated dots. So if I pop that like that, it's not the same pattern. Okay, because I've only got 2 boxes here and I need 4. So what you have to do is you slide it up until that sits on top. So now I've got my set of 5 boxes there, my bar, and my set of boxes here. Okay, so if I offset that so you can see exactly where I've lined it up. So this bar sits on top of that bar. So the red design, let's try and explain this a little bit more clear. The red design is my plate, and my black design is what I've already embossed. So in order to be able to continue my pattern in the top half, I need to line it up. So rather than going to the end here, I'm not going to get the same, I'm not going to get the repeat. Now I can use that if I want to, but I just need to be aware of that when I come to do my perforating. But in order for the pattern to flow, you just slide it along and just line it up on top. So now I've got my set of boxes here and my set of boxes here. Okay. So hopefully that makes a little bit more sense, because I know when we're doing it with the parchment and we've obviously got the plate underneath, but I thought this would be a good way of sort of showcasing it. And because we can magnify it, or Jim can magnify it for me, I thought, and doing it in the different colors, it just makes it a little bit more easier to explain. Okay. And it'd be the same if I wanted to make a smaller frame. So let me bring in a smaller version, and I will zoom out a little bit now. Let's bring in, I'm going to centralize that. Let's zoom out a little bit. Whee. There we go. If I tell you what, let me zoom out quite a bit just so we can get the complete square. Okay. Right, Tracy. Okay, Tracy. You're on YouTube, so the link was posted on Facebook. If you go to the claritycrafts.com website, excuse me, and in the search bar, if you put sending love, you should be able to find it. Okay. I'm sure Stuart will confirm that. Because I think it's difficult to post links into the YouTube page. Okay, so this is my plate, and this is my embossed pattern. Okay, so in order to just do the complete square, I'm going to line that up like so, and that gives me, let me bring that white paper down a little bit further underneath. Sorry, oh, why does it keep doing that? Okay, so if I want to make it a smaller frame, then all I do is I just keep moving it, and as long as it's really, I suppose the key thing is these bars. The bars need to sit on top. Okay, so I can go in smaller, and I'm only stopping. So if I stop here, it doesn't work because I can see the red of the plate underneath. Okay, but now if I go further, so hang on, where am I? So that makes it smaller. And then if I want to go smaller again, where am I going? There we go. I would stop there. So now I've got a rectangle. And if I want to go even smaller, then I would stop the embossing at any point along here. Okay, so say for example, I just wanted to have 2 of these sections, then I would stop my embossing at this point here. And then when I line that up, I mean, you wouldn't really want a frame that small, would you? Would you? Maybe you would. But I think this is, and I say, this is one of the easiest plates to get started on in relation to sort of making a complete square. And it works perfectly with all of the diagonal grids because all of the diagonal grids are in a horseshoe. Okay, whereas the straight grids, you just get a right angle. So you've got to do it 4 times to complete a square. Maybe we'll look at that later in the year on a straight grid. But I thought if as an introduction to grid, lacework, frames, whatever you want to call it, that the diagonal was the easiest one to start with. And I've gone with the A4 square, but Josie's designed a number of beautiful diagonal grids, duets. I think the Italian cities, I think, are diagonal. There's about 3 or 4 different diagonal ones, but for a beautiful frame, what am I trying to say? It's not a it is a diagonal. What I'm trying to say is it's a feature of your card, okay? And it doesn't matter if you're only at the embossing stage of your Groovi journey, because you can just do the embossed dots, as we have here, and the pattern, the design looks lovely, but you could do the embossing and the perforating, or you could do just the embossing on its own. You can do the perforating on its own, and you don't have to do any picot cutting whatsoever. It's entirely up to you. Josie gives you the versatility. So it doesn't matter how far you are. So what we're going to do is, over the course of the next couple of weeks, we're going to do different variations. Okay. So are we good to go? Hopefully that made a little bit more sense. Sometimes when you're using the Groovi, because I've been using it for such a long time, you automatically take stuff for granted that everybody knows. But as we've seen today, we've got a few new people in the room as well. So yeah. So for today's session, what we're going to do, we're going to complete the embossing, and then we're going to do some perforating. Okay. Now, with all of Josie's grids, the duets, they all come with an image of what it looks like if you decide to do all your perforating and picot cutting. Shows you what it looks like with ribbon, hence them being called the ribbon grids, or without. Okay. And then on the back, Josie's written out the step-by-step instructions on what you need to do. And then in addition to that, you've also got your cutting guide if you choose to do that. Okay. And together with Groovi Tuesday, we're here to sort of guide you through the process. Now, what you'll notice that what isn't on these patterns is, I'll bring the plate into play, are the straight lines. Okay, and these straight lines are for those of us that don't wish to do any picot cutting. So it gives us the lines that we can then trim with a ruler and a craft knife or a paper trimmer. Okay, so we're going to do a combination on this one. I'll just have a slurp of coffee, too much waffling. So for today's session, we're going to need our number 1, number 2 Groovi tool from the starter kit. Obviously, we're going to need our plate. We are also going to need, let's go clear this off and get all my bits and pieces together. So we need our plate. We need our piece of work that we've already started on. Okay. Number 1, number 2 tool. Tumble dry sheet. We're going to need our 1 needle bold tool for when we come to do the perforating. And then we're going to need a foam mat. Now I'm going to use the 12 by 12 super foam because it just gives me that larger area to work on. And then also you may, if you have it in your stash, the plate mate for A4 square grids designed by Josie. Okay. So, Karen, did I miss how the grid was photocopied onto parchment? It's a brilliant idea. I had to pop out of the room. So, Karen, basically, because Josie designs the images, and Jim works his magic on the computer to turn them into Groovi plates, and for the driller killers to drill the holes. So, because we have the original files, what I was able to get Jim to do was to turn the line art into black and red dots and enlarge it for me, and then print it on parchment so I could overlay it. So it isn't something you can do from the plate because it won't work. So good morning, Glynis. No need to apologise. Glad to have your company. Hope Pete's doing okay. Okay, so let's get started, shall we? I think I've waffled enough. I haven't waffled, have I? I've explained the purpose, or not the purpose, how to assist with the positioning of your parchment. Okay, so emboss this part, and it says emboss this side up, and then this part is where we have got holes in it. Okay, so what we're going to do is reposition our parchment back in place, and you'll find it slots back in. I mean, not slots, but you feel it go back into the groove. I'm going to take my Groovi tabs, which I stored very safely. Oh, very safe. Look, new tabs. Oh dear. Okay. Right, how many Groovi tabs? I'm going to get about 4 Groovi tabs on the go, just so that it doesn't move. So top tip from Josie when using your grid plates, whichever plate mate you pop it in, you can see, look, if I give that there's a little bit of movement on them. Okay. So just take 1 Groovi tab and just attach your plate to your plate mate, because you really don't want it to move, even a smidgen. We're still working on the back of our parchment. So I'm going to line up my dots again. Excuse my head for a moment while I just lean over. Okay. So that looks as though it's in the right place. I'm going to pop that on there like so. Yeah, that's all good. That's all good. Another Groovi tab down there. And I'm going to put 1 down here for luck. Okay. So there we go. Groovi card. I need my Groovi card. Oh, okay. Jane, where's my Groovi card? I know where it is. I had it on TV on Sunday. So I put it back where it belonged. So it's in my folder. Okie dokie. Okay. And breathe. So we're going to use the number 2 tool. I'm going to lean on my Groovi guard, and then we're just going to continue with our pattern. I'm actually going to put my glasses on. I got my new lenses the other week, so why not take advantage of it? That's better. Oh, number 2, nearly away with the number 1, and then we're just going to complete our design. Okay. If you've got any other questions, just pop them up and I'll keep looking up with my varifocals. Jane, it's behind me. Yeah, it was to the side of me. It was still in the folder on the table. So, can never have too many Groovi guards. So we're just going to follow the design. See, I like to do sections of it for completion. Okay. I mean, it doesn't take long. Imagine sort of doing this. I've just seen Josie. Oh no, it hasn't. I've just got thrown now. Hang on. Clear the head, Paul. Clear the head. If this was a basic grid, there's no way that I would be able to talk and do this at the same time. Absolutely not. So there's a question popped up there. The preview of the new plates in with demoing look beautiful. If I wanted to pico cut them, are there any plates to pierce them, or will it be freehand? Okay, so the plates that Tina will be showcasing on the Pergamano show on Create and Craft on Thursday, they're not new plates, but they may be new to many of you at home. The beautiful nested lace frames and the nested lace borders. So I can't remember now whether Tina's going to pico cut around them. But in answer to your question, if you wanted to pico cut around them, then you would have to do that freehand with a 2-needle perforating tool, 2-needle tool to do that. Let me just have a flick, because Tina sent me the pictures of what it is that she is going to be demonstrating. So I should be able to find that email. Let's have a look. See whether she's going to pico cut around the outside. So talk amongst yourselves. Okay, no, not on that one. She normally does it in the second one. No pico cutting on the shows on Thursday. So, but yeah, in answer to your question, you would have to do it with a 2-needle tool and go around the outside. Okay, so we're just going to complete our designs. That's fine. I mean, freehand perforating is a skill, as well as pico cutting itself. So having something like this with the grids, it gives you the confidence, like the Groovi system gives you the confidence being able to create beautiful pieces of artwork. So in time, it will come. It really will. And the best thing to do is to take a circle or just take an image on a scrap piece of parchment and just play. I mean, the key thing when you're freehand perforating around the outside is to keep the tool in the upright position. Okay, because if you go at an angle, it looks as if a mouse has chewed it, and you won't get the perfect perforations. See, the grids force you to hold the tool upright. So I even just these little bits here, when you're pressing out, I mean, the little patterns, you can use those anywhere. You can use them as infills. Sorry, I should have zoomed in a little bit. Hang on, I've got a stretch. I've got cramp in my leg. Oh, which way am I going? I need to go in. I need to come this way. I'll move it down so it's centered to the screen, but let me just zoom in a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So, okay. So we're just going to finish off doing the embossing, and it doesn't take long. And it's so satisfying just doing the embossing part. So what else have I got to do this week? So Tina is on the Pokemon show on Create and Craft on Thursday at 11 and 3. Then that's all the TV we have for you this week. On Sunday, we have the Clarity Matters blog. And this Sunday on the Clarity Matters blog, I'm sure, Stuart, could you pop a link up to the Clarity Matters blog, please? This coming Sunday's project is a project by the lovely Josie, and it's using one of the other ribbon diagonal grids. So we're using Sending Love Your Way, and I can't remember which one it is. I'm sure Josie will remember which one it is. It's Happy Birthday, I think, is a centerpiece. Thank you, Stuart. For those of you on YouTube and you can't pick up the link, it is claritymattersblog.com. So we're just going to carry on with our design. So yeah, so Josie, every Sunday there is a step-by-step project from one of the amazing design team. Sometimes it's Groovi. We're getting some of our more arty sort of Sonia and Tina doing sort of like stampy and stencils, and I think Jane's done some as well. So there's a whole library of step-by-step tutorials, and we do a new one every Sunday at 8 AM. Okay, let's have a look. See, just the outside line. This is what I was calling castle turrets the other week. Just down the edge of the card. Look really, really nice. So, okay. So what else has everyone been up to this week? Everyone back to work that's meant to have gone back to work? Or still on an extended Christmas break? It's amazing that it's the 10th of January already. Yeah, Christmas seems such a distant memory, doesn't it? It does for me. So let's go in. Done that bit. See, and this is great because you can instantly see if you've missed a bit. And if you have missed a bit, even if you've removed your parchment from your plate, always put it back on. Don't try and do it unless you're like Josie or Glynis or Jane or someone that's been doing it for many, many years. Then you can do the little dot freestyle. But me personally, I'd put it back on the plate to add the dot in. Okay. Slurp a coffee. How are we getting on? I think we're getting on okay, aren't we? I think we're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I always enjoy my Groovy Tuesdays. So, yeah, I do. It's nice to be in the room with lots of friendly faces, old and new. Not the faces, but you know what I mean. And just chat to you and read what you've all been up to and if you've got any questions. And it's great that obviously we've got Stuart in the room, popping the links up. Got the experts are in the room, really. Josie, Jane, Glynis. I wonder if Carol's normally in the room as well. So yeah, I'm just the voice, so to speak. I mean, everything I've learned from the experts. So if I can do it, then you can do it, definitely. And I'm not saying, I mean, some parts of the process will take longer to learn than others. But there isn't a rush, is there? This is definitely a lot quicker than doing it in the traditional method. Definitely. So now what I'm going to do to complete my frame, I'm going to turn my plate so it's more comfortable for me. And then when we do this last bit, all of a sudden it'll go bing. And the satisfaction that when you turn this over of what you created is amazing. Well, I think so anyway. Yeah. So, and then this is a bit where I get excited because I'm about to complete the frame. Okay, so a question from Deborah. Do you need to use a new tumble dryer sheet each time, or does one suffice for several projects of weeks apart? My tumble dryer sheets last me a long, long time. Now, interestingly, there was a question that was asked on TV, and I also saw it on Facebook as well. What's the best tumble dry sheet? Now, for me personally, I shop in Sainsbury's. Other supermarkets are available, and I use these ones from Sainsbury's. It's just their own brand. They're blue, pink, different flavors, smells, so to speak. They're soft. Some people don't like them because they're highly perfumed, but they are soft. I think I saw somebody say that one brand, it was a little bit scratchy. Some of them are a little bit like cardboard, like sandpaper. But if you do have if you've gone for one of the harder ones and you have a tumble dryer, then just pop it in there to soften it or scrunch it up. But sometimes these can be a little bit too fragrant. So just take them out and sort of put them on a shelf or put them in a cupboard or put them in your top drawer. And it will just take some of the smell away and it's not as overpowering. But I've been using this one probably for about 4 or 5 weeks. I mean, it looks a little bit, look, I'll show you. When it starts to fall apart like this, then I'd say it's time for a new tumble dry sheet. But for what we're doing now, it will last a long time. So I hope that answers your question. What you don't want to do, and I've said it on TV, is, I mean, you can, but if you do, okay, Poundland or Pound Shops or that sell off tumble dry sheets really cheaply. Often when you get them, they're quite wet. They're like a baby wipe. So if they are too wet or too moist, then it will buckle the parchment when you wipe it. So the easiest option is to take them out of the box, hang them up somewhere and just let them dry out. Just let them air dry for a day or so. So there's options. But I mean, my box is 40. I get 40 in a box. And I've got several boxes only because of different places that I do the groove. So yeah, they last a long time. So I hope that answered that question, because that was one of the questions I'm glad came up because I was going to mention that today actually. So it was on my little list. So now we're just going along. So Pat keeps her tumble dryer in a little box, lasts for ages, don't like the smell. Glynis says they used to do unscented ones, but I've not seen those since the pandemic. Thought they had to be slightly moist. Thanks for clarifying. No problem at all. I mean, Lorraine, obviously you're in Spain. Lorraine in Spain. Do they have tumble dryer sheets in Spain? I mean, I'm sure they've got tumble dryers, but some products aren't available, are they, in different countries? I don't know whether it's just an English thing. I don't know. Never really thought about it. Oh, Glynis is saying wax paper will work as well. Oh, that's good to know. Is that sort of like baking parchment? That type of wax paper? Is that what you mean, Glynis? I didn't know that. I suppose if it's got some form of it's not a lubricant. Mo says she works in Sainsbury's in Ripon. Pop in and see. So what's Lorraine saying? Not easy to find, so I'm having a friend bring a box out. Not many tumble dryers in Spain. Well, I suppose you've got that lovely warm weather, haven't you? So you don't really need to have a tumble dryer to dry your clothes. I mean, to be honest with you, I've got a tumble dryer, but I've never put a tumble dryer sheet in the tumble dryer. Yeah. So Glynis is saying, yes, the stuff people use in intricate dyes. Yeah, that's right. Yes, I know what you mean. So I didn't realise that worked as well. That's really good to know, because I know some people are quite sensitive to smell. So that's really good to know. And somebody said that you can get unscented tumble dryer sheets on Amazon as well. Well, that's good. So we're coming to the completion of our frame. We're doing lots of reading today. Okay, so baking parchment is different to wax paper, but can be used in baking. Okay, so it's not your normal like greaseproof paper. Is it greaseproof paper? So is that 3 different products then? So you've got greaseproof paper, you've got baking parchment. Is that the same? Or wax paper? So Jane is saying that wax paper in the supermarket, it's used to wrap sandwiches. Ah, okay. See, look, we're learning so much today. Oh, well, I'm learning a lot. I think all the conversations I've had with the lovely ladies, like Jane and that, and it's the first time I've heard that mentioned. So yeah, learn something new every day. I've learned lots of new things today. Okay. See, look, the final bit now. So, got complete the little diamonds. Calm down, Paul. Calm down. It's only a pattern. But I do get excited, because when I turn it over, I'm going to be chuffed to bits. I don't think I've got any missing dots. But you know what? I'm not worried if I have to. I'm going left to right. So, okay. We're getting there. I'm like building up the anticipation. Some people are allergic to tumble dry sheets. Yeah, so wax paper is a great alternative. I totally agree, Jane. Okay, it's finished. It's finished. Okay, so I'm gonna push that up there. Get rid of my tumble dry sheet. Take my glasses off. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Oh, cramp again. Oh, right, zoom out. Hang on, one moment, that way. I still have to read the instructions on which way I need to move the little nozzle to go in or out. Sad, isn't it? I suppose I only do this once a week. I do like having the control. Okay. Carefully remove my Groovi tabs. And also another point to note in relation to the tumble dry sheets, if they are too oily, like sometimes the Sainsbury's ones can be, then it can affect the sticking of your Groovi tabs as well. Okay. Oh, really, I need a piece of black card. Where's my black card gone? No, I'll bring on my super foam. Right, so I'm still on the back. So let's turn it over. There we go. Oh, that way. Happy, happy, happy. And when you think about it, I mean, we've done this over the 2-week period, but you would, which is sort of like 2 hours, but I do waffle for a lot and I do sort of distract you with temptation and different bits and pieces. But we can look at it that way. So you've got these lovely designs coming down the side, but if you turn it that way, it looks different again. So I'm not sure whether I have a preference or not, or whether I prefer it that way or whether I prefer it that way. I suppose it depends on the design that I'm popping on the inside. So yeah. So we're now looking at the front of our piece of artwork. Okay. And before we start to do any perforating, what I want to do is put the solid frame around the outside, okay, and the solid frame on the inside. And I'm going to put that in first, and then we'll do some perforating, because the only parts that I'm going to perforate are the bits in the middle. I don't want to perforate around the outside or on the inside, not on this particular project. Okay. So we're going to go back to our plate. We're going to remember to turn our parchment over. Going to line it back up. Okay, I'm just trying to work out why it doesn't fit. And it's because I need to turn it that way. So what we're going to do now, see this, I can feel this going back into the dots. So I'm going to take a Groovi tab, hold my parchment in place, and just down there, and we'll put another one down there. Mary says, a hubby gets lots of cramps in his legs. Try a glass of tonic water. The quinine relaxes the massive. Oh, thank you. I might give that a go. Thank you. I mean, it's just legs have been doing too much walking, and it's cold. Right, we're okay. Groovi guard. So what we're going to do now is I'm now going to take the number 1 tool. Well, that's not the number 1. Number 1 tool. And first off, we're just going to trace the line across the top. Okay, and the same on here. So make sure that it's all lined up perfectly. Take the number 1 tool and press into the groove. I'm going to do the double line in there. I'm going to do the same on this one. Okay. Now this is where top tip comes in from Barb. Okay. For me, I wouldn't have even given it any thought, but it makes perfect sense. And this was what Barb came up with. Because we want to complete this square frame, we want it to be sort of like a seamless transition of the 2 sections. Okay. Now, back in the day, what I would have done was come down, stop there, come down, stop there, turn it round, line it back up and carry on. If I go too heavy when I get to those points, then potentially, although there's not a dot there, I can sort of create the dots. Okay, so let me see, there's a question from Marilyn. I have some large A4 Groovi plates, but haven't got a large Groovi plate mate holder with spaces. I tried to buy one on your program on Create and Craft, but they had sold out. I couldn't find any at your shop. Do you still sell them? Marilyn, we do indeed. We do two different types. We've got the type that I'm using now, which is the plate mate for A4 square grids. So you can buy just the two-part frame, and then you get the extenders with it. We also do it with the plate that comes in the middle. And we also do an alphabet one, which is the, it's not the Art Deco. I can't think what it's called. That's right, there we go. Stuart's popped a link up. And yeah, if you go to our website and you go to Groovi, there is a section for plate mates and you'll see them in there. And you can buy just the extenders on their own as well if you've already got, but you haven't have it. You haven't got the large. Yeah. So for me personally, I would go for the one that's got the embossed patterns on with the extenders, or maybe you want another beautiful font that you can do that. There we go. Stuart said all of our plate mates are on that link. And if you're ever unsure, you're not sure whether you're choosing the right thing, then you can always give the office a call and speak to the lovely Janine, and she's there to help you. So our office telephone number is 01732 868 215. And we're open Monday to Friday from 8 a.m. until 4:30. So if you're ever unsure, then we're always here to help. And people on Facebook that always ask the question and somebody will respond. So I hope that helps, Marilyn. So I think this was an extent. Yeah, okay, so let me show you. Hang on, let me do these lines and then we've got plenty of time and then I'll show you, okay? So what we're going to do now, I'm going to turn it round, or I'm going to turn it at an angle to me. And as we come down along here, I'm not going to stop at those lines, okay? What I'm going to do, you know how we do white work and we strike the match and we lift off? What we're going to do now, just make sure that's in place. I'm putting the same sort of pressure on, and then as I get to the end, I'm just lifting off. I'm sort of flicking. Okay. Whoops, not there. You need to make sure you're in the groove pull. And then flick. So what you'll notice is it's not as prominent. Okay. So I'm going to do the same on here. And just by flicking off or not going right to the end, then what this will do, it will create a more of a natural connection. So let me turn around and we'll do the other side. Hang on, I've got to do it this way. So I'm going to come down, see that, and then lift off. And then we're going to come down and lift off. Okay, so now when I lift this off, you'll see how it hasn't gone to a prominent end. It's a lot lighter. Okay, so we're going to turn our artwork around now. Need that Groovi tab. Come on, Mr. Groovi tab. Then we're going to line this up. So the easiest way of doing it is lining your pattern back up into position. Okay, just like so. That gets attached there. That's all lined up there. And now we can complete our frame. Now, if you find that I'm getting a little bit of resistance there, so I'm going to take my Tumble dry sheet and just give it a wipe. Whoops. Groovi guard. come down like so, down like so, and then when you get to the end as well, lift off, come across here, and then do the same, like so. So now, when we turn this over, excuse me, we've now got our complete frame. I wobbled a little bit there, I went too heavy. It's a little bit prominent, but you know what? I'm not worried about that. Okay. So, why is the chat not working? Very strange. So Lorraine, you're on. Okay, so Lorraine, when a lot of people chat more on Facebook, so there's a lot more chatter on Facebook than there is on YouTube, and there isn't sort of like a platform that brings both together. So Facebook doesn't talk to YouTube and YouTube doesn't talk to Facebook. The software I use in order to broadcast to you combines both of those chats together, so I can see. And the only reason I know you're on YouTube, because your little image that pops up has got a little red YouTube image in the bottom. So I hope that sort of makes sense. Okay, so in response to, yeah, the PlateMate, the extenders. So let's get rid of all these Groovi tabs. I've got hundreds of the little blighters. Okay, so let me zoom out now just to explain. Oh, zoom out, move to the left. There we go. I'm going to zoom out as far as I can on this one. Bring that forward a bit. So the PlateMate comes in two parts. Okay, just like so. So that obviously when we send it to you, imagine trying to send that in the post, not going to go through your letterbox, and it's likely to turn up broken. So it comes in two parts, and when it's packaged like that to give it the stability. So as you can see, by putting the two parts together, gives you the PlateMate for the A4 squares. Okay, so this is the plate that you can get as part of the package if you wanted to. Okay, now if I'm working with an A4 plate, so for example, the PlateMate or one of Linda Williams' It's a Wrap plates, or one of the templates like the Cube Box, what happens is that opens up just like so, and then you get these fantastic, I mean, this was Mr. Dave's idea, the little extenders. So they slot into there just like so, and then you use your Groovi tabs to hold everything together. So now you have your PlateMate for your A4 plates. Okay, and let's say Stuart popped the link up for the different PlateMates, but if you're unsure, then say give Janine a call and she will point you in the right direction. She'll even take the order for you if you want to. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense. So let's just pop those over there. Pop that over there. That goes over there. And now I've got the PlateMate for the A4 square. Okay, so who was that that was asking? I think it was Yvonne that was asking. It's disappeared off the chat now. Let me see if I can scroll up. I'm sure it was Yvonne. Just bear with. Marilyn. Apologies, Marilyn. So I hope that, let me move that mouse, don't want to cut off the stream. So I hope that answered that question for you. I say at the beginning that I'm going to stop saying what we're going to do during the course of the hour, because it never happens. I did think that we'd get to do some perforating this morning, but I think what we'll do, we'll call it a day on that, and next week we can come back and we can start our perforating journey. So if you need to sort of shop ahead, what you're going to need for next week, if you haven't already got it, is your 1 needle bold perforating tool and some super foam. Okay, now the super foam that I'm using is just personal choice. You can get it in A4, A5, and 12 by 12. Me personally, I like the 12 by 12 because just by happens, it's the same size as the Platemate. Okay, as if that wasn't thought about. So the 12 by 12, and we do it in black so that if we're working with the plates directly, and then we also do it in white if you wanted to use your light panel to illuminate underneath. Okay, so that's all we're going to need for next week, I reckon. Super foam, and it's 10 mil thick. Okay, so as I say, we've got A5, A4, and 12 by 12. Choice is entirely up to you, but for me, because look, let me show you. This was a conversation between Barb, Dave, and Josie when the Platemate was being designed. That sits perfectly on the 12 by 12 super foam, and then that fits in there. So super foam and a 1 needle perforating tool. That's all we're going to need for next week. So thank you once again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed that. I think explaining at the beginning about the positioning and the lining up, I think that made a difference. Thanks to Stuart for helping. Thank you for the lovely Josie, Glynis, Jane. As always, without their help, I'd be stuffed. And it's nice to see them in the room. And I will be back for you. So don't forget, Tina is on Thursday, Create and Craft the Pergamano show at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Clarity Matters blog on Sunday with a project from Josie using one of the other A4 square ribbon diagonal plates. And then I'll be back with you on Tuesday where we're going to start perforating. So thank you once again. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will see you next week. Take care now. Bye-bye.